For over 30 years, the world's third-largest economy has been trapped in a strange economic twilight zone. Japan, once the poster child for post-war economic miracles, became synonymous with something else entirely: deflation, stagnation, and the now famous lost decades. It was a period where prices didn't rise, wages stayed flat, and an entire generation grew up believing that tomorrow would be exactly the same as today. But what if I told you that this era is finally, dramatically, coming to an end? Japan is standing on the edge of a knife, facing a historic tipping point that could either unleash a new economic renaissance or plunge it into an even deeper crisis. The world is watching because what happens here could redefine the future of advanced economies everywhere. To understand where Japan is going, we have to understand where it's been. Imagine a world where things get cheaper every year. Sounds great, right? Wrong. This was the reality of deflation in Japan. Why buy a new TV today if it'll be cheaper next month? Why would a company invest in a new factory if the products it makes will sell for less in the future? This mindset seeped into every corner of the economy. Consumers delayed spending, companies sat on mountains of cash instead of investing or raising wages. The result was a vicious cycle of economic hibernation. The Nikkei stock index, which peaked in 1989, wouldn't see those heights again for over 3 decades. This wasn't just an economic story, it was a cultural one. A deflationary mindset took hold, valuing stability over risk and savings over investment. An entire generation entered the workforce with limited prospects for salary growth, shaping a society defined by caution. But now, the ground is shifting beneath their feet. 3 powerful forces are converging, shaking the very foundations of Japan's old economic order. First, the ghost of inflation has returned. After decades of absence, prices are finally rising, driven by global energy costs and a weaker yen. A cup of coffee, a train ticket, your favorite snack, they all cost more. For the first time in a generation, Japanese consumers are feeling the pinch. This is a profound psychological shock. Suddenly, holding on to cash means losing purchasing power. This forces a change in behavior. People are starting to ask for pay raises, and companies, facing rising costs themselves, are more willing to pass on price increases. The era of predictable, stable prices is over. This leads directly to the second force, a serious push for higher wages. Every spring, Japan holds its annual wage negotiations, known as shuento. For years, these talks resulted in minimal, if any, pay increases. But the last couple of years have been different. Spurred by inflation and government pressure, major corporations have agreed to the most significant wage hikes in over 30 years. Prime Minister Kishida has made new capitalism a cornerstone of his policy, urging companies to share their profits with workers to create a virtuous cycle of wage growth and consumption. While it's still early, and the raises haven't yet reached all small and medium-sized businesses, the trend is undeniable. The taboo against significant pay raises is breaking. The third, and perhaps most revolutionary, change is a new investment mindset. For decades, the Japanese have been world-class savers, stashing their money in low-interest bank accounts. The stock market was often seen as a place for speculators, but the government is determined to change this. In a massive overhaul, they've dramatically expanded the Nippon Individual Savings Account, or NISA program. This allows people to invest a significant amount of money in the stock market, tax-free. The goal is to move a huge portion of Japan's 2 quadrillion yen in household savings, that's over $13 trillion from idle cash, into productive assets. It's a seismic shift, encouraging ordinary citizens to become stakeholders in the economy's growth. The Nikkei soaring to new all-time highs isn't just a headline. It's a sign that both domestic and international investors are betting on a new Japanese story. However, this potential dawn comes with some very dark clouds. Japan is grappling with structural challenges so immense they would cripple most other nations. The most famous of these is the demographic cliff. Japan is the world's oldest and fastest shrinking major nation. More than 1 in 10 people are now over the age of 80. Every year, the population declines by hundreds of thousands, the equivalent of a city the size of Honolulu simply vanishing. This has a brutal impact on the workforce, who will staff the factories, care for the elderly, and drive the trucks. This labor shortage is becoming acute. Japan's potential solutions are a mix of technology and policy. It's a world leader in robotics and automation, trying to fill the gaps left by human workers. There's also a growing, though often contentious, debate about immigration. The country is slowly opening its doors to more foreign workers, but integrating them into a traditionally homogeneous society remains a major hurdle. How Japan solves this demographic puzzle will be a lesson for aging societies across the globe, from Europe to China. Then there's the mountain of debt. Japan's government debt is over 250% of its GDP, a level that is by far the highest in the developed world. For decades, this didn't seem to matter. The Bank of Japan simply printed money and bought up government bonds, keeping interest rates at or below zero. This made the debt incredibly cheap to service. But now, with inflation back, the Bank of Japan is in an impossible position. This is their great monetary policy dilemma. If they raise interest rates significantly to fight inflation and strengthen the yen, the cost of servicing that colossal debt would skyrocket, potentially triggering a fiscal crisis. But if they keep rates too low, the yen could continue to weaken, pushing up the cost of imported goods and hurting consumers even more. For years, the Bank of Japan could have its cake and eat it too. Those days are over. They are walking a tightrope with no safety net. So, how does Japan escape this trap and forge a path to a new era? The answer lies in innovation and reform. The government and corporate Japan are betting big on technology. Huge investments are pouring into key sectors like semiconductors. With global supply chains becoming less reliable, Japan sees an opportunity to regain its former dominance in this critical industry. It's also pushing hard into green technology and digital transformation, hoping to boost its notoriously low white-collar productivity. The key isn't just working harder, it's working smarter. Harnessing AI and other advanced technologies is no longer an option. It's a survival imperative for a country with a shrinking workforce. At the same time, there's a revolution happening in Japan's boardrooms. The Tokyo Stock Exchange is leading a charge for corporate governance reform. For years, many Japanese companies were criticized for being inefficient, hoarding cash, and prioritizing stability over shareholder returns. The stock exchange is now publicly pressuring companies with low valuations to present clear plans on how they will improve their performance and use their capital more effectively. This is forcing a cultural shift, moving companies away from the old, sleepy way of doing business toward a more dynamic, growth-oriented model. It's about unlocking the vast potential that has been dormant in corporate Japan for decades. Of course, Japan isn't operating in a vacuum. The geopolitical landscape is more challenging than ever. It faces intense economic competition from its neighbors, the manufacturing powerhouse of China and the tech-savvy South Korea. In a world of shifting global supply chains, Japan is trying to position itself as a reliable and high-tech partner, a concept known as friendshoring. But this also exposes its vulnerabilities, particularly its heavy reliance on imported energy and raw materials. Navigating this complex global order while managing its own domestic transformation is perhaps the ultimate test of Japan's resilience. So, here we are, at this incredible moment in history. The land of the rising sun is faced with a choice. Can it successfully navigate the return of inflation, foster real wage growth, and turn a nation of savers into investors? Can it overcome its daunting demographic destiny through innovation and reform? Or will the immense weight of its debt and an aging population prove too much to bear, leading to another crisis? The stakes could not be higher. This isn't just a story about yen and stock markets. It's about whether one of the world's great societies can reinvent itself for the 21st century. What happens in Japan over the next few years will offer lessons, and perhaps warnings, for us all. The long slumber is over. What comes next is unwritten.